from the Ticats Audio Network. This is the Ticats This Week.
Ticats This Week, welcome aboard once again. It is Rick Zamperin, Simoni Lawrence, Matt Bucknor, and we're going to talk about the game that was the week ahead for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 0-1 to start the season, but hopefully, fingers crossed, soon to be 1-1 as the Roughriders come to town this Saturday night, and a special night in the Hammer. Garnie Henley, the one and only, is number 26, is going to be immortalized, retired by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We'll get into that as well. Before we get into our hot topics this week, do want to express some roster notes because there was a couple of moves that the Tiger Cats made over the last number of days. Quarterback Jake Dolagala has been added to the practice roster. He has 20 CFL games under his belt with Saskatchewan, BC, Winnipeg. Spoke to Coach Milanovic earlier on Tuesday, and he wanted to have a look at Dolagala. He likes his arm strength. He might be a short yardage option down the road. We can get into that later on in the pod. The Cats also signing American wide receiver Joseph and got out of the practice roster. He was cut by Calgary in training camp. He spent some time with the Philadelphia Eagles, with the UFL's Birmingham Stallions from 23 to 25, and the Ticats also releasing receiver Josh Johnson. So those are your lineup notes on the Ticats this week today. Ticats kicking off their season in Calgary last Saturday, a 38-26 loss in Cowtown. Sim, we'll start with you. What went wrong in that game for the Tiger Cats?
I think it started with the flow of going into the understanding of the game. It felt like the boys came in there a little too flat. Like, I would like to see the first drive has to be like, it's okay to get one first down, but a whole drive right to the end zone, can't do it. Can't start the game off like that. And then if you are going to do that, then the offense has to match the energy. That's normally why offensive coordinators like to get the ball first and try to get all the momentum right so everybody else is playing catch up. And we weren't able to come out. We were able to get 3 points on the board, but that's not enough. And another thing was, I was proud of the defense for getting the ball, causing turnovers. We got 2 interceptions, but the thing about the interceptions is we only got 3 points off of the turnovers. So if you get one turnover, it turns into a wash because it was a 2-and-out. They got the ball back. Another turnover, another 3 points. That's kind of putting the fire out. So the other team's defense is still in good shape. And then I call them plays that we just did not make, and they killed us drastically, Rick and Matt. I'm talking about from the standpoint of the block tackled field goal, because we tried to, almost outrun the linebackers, but we couldn't do it, so we fake blocked, or we got stopped, turnover on downs, point blank, and then Calgary was able to go and score. Because from that point, I thought we had complete momentum, but once Calgary took it in and scored right away, we didn't have nothing for that. And then what absolutely just took all of the momentum and life that could have possibly been in us was that calf time. I tell people all the time, the most important parts of the game are the first couple drives in the game, right before you go into halftime, right after you come into halftime, and the last 4 minutes. We lost pretty much all of that, you know what I mean? And that halftime when we didn't feel the football, that was big too. And when you're on the road, it's just too much to account for.
Good points, Matt. What went wrong in Calgary for the Ticats?
Yeah, you know what, Sam, you hit a lot of the points there right on the nail. But starting fast and starting physical. I think physicality was one of the biggest things too with the defense. Looking at the way Calgary came out physical. You saw their D line; they didn't get a lot of sacks, but they were disrupting. They were really disruptive in the back end, and Hamilton wasn't as disruptive. They had some, a couple TFLs, things like that, which was good to stand out. But I think just a little bit more physicality from Hamilton. I think that was one of the things that hurt them. And then of course, Sim, I love that you talked about that first drive, because that was one of the things that we talked about at halftime. Was Vernon just was doing whatever he wanted with the defense, and then what that does, that builds confidence, especially for Vernon, this is his first year with this new coordinator, new team. you don't want to give these guys that type of confidence and that type of energy going into the next series, second quarter, third quarter, because they're going to use that as momentum themselves. And so for them to score off that first drive, again, you don't lose the game or anything like that on that first drive, but it is critical, like you said, Sim. Like there are critical points in the game, and I think too, giving up turnovers in your own end. It's one thing. It's like you could turn like. No one ever wants to turn the ball over, but I think there's certain spots that are really critical. And so Hamilton, they had those 2 turnovers, the 1 turnover right before half, and then the other turnover right after were both in their own end, which led to points for Calgary. You see Hamilton, they lost by 12 points. That's a 14-point swing right there. And so I think if you're taking care of the ball, you're taking care of the ball in critical spots, critical junctures of the game, it gives you a chance to win. And I think those are a couple of the spots that costed them. And of course, just taking care of we talk about doing your job on special teams. That's where it comes down to. You don't want to lose the game on special teams. You can win games. You saw Wooden too. Like there was that flash from Wooden where plays like that can win you games. But then on the flip side, the turnovers in your own end can help you lose.
Yeah.
I spoke to Isaiah Wooden after practice on Tuesday. He's keeping the game ball that he was awarded after scoring that 105-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. He has a special place for it, but he says his wife is going to decide where that special place is, so I gave him kudos for that, letting the Rock at home decide that. But, Matt, we'll stay with you on this one. This might be hard to measure, but what do you think was the more detrimental play? We're going to talk about what went right for the Ticats, too, but what was the more detrimental play? Was it the missed punt opportunity, or was it that pop-up kickoff in the third quarter? Which one was more bad news, I guess?
Oh, do I have to pick? Like,
I know there's no wrong answer, there's no right answer.
You know what? I'm gonna say the muff punt. I'm gonna say the muff punt or the muff return, and the reason being is because so yes, we gave up the points before halftime. This is an opportunity for us to set the tone. This is an opportunity for us to set the tone, and we're coming out flat. So we started flat, and now we're coming out flat again in the third quarter. So I'm gonna say that one just because you have an opportunity to kind of right your wrong, and then you just double down on it with that second muffed kick return. So I'm gonna say that one there. And again, it's of course these guys are out here trying to make plays. There's no doubt about that. These guys out here trying to make plays. There's going to be a couple mental errors in the games. It happens. We've played the game long enough, Sim. We've seen it. Rick, we've seen these plays. These guys are trying to make plays, but at the same time, these plays that you miss are critical. So I'm going to say that one there in the third quarter. What do you think, Sam?
Sim, do you agree?
Absolutely, because you go into halftime, and I know every single person that played sports in their life have heard, it ain't over until it's over. So they could go, even though they muffed that punt, and they scored some points, halftime, it ain't over till it's over. You come out, everybody, rah, 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 rah. And then that play happens in the half, and then I know you don't want to say it's over, but dang, again. I think that was way more detrimental, and I think that was the most teachable one for everyone on the same page too, because now everybody's going to have to be way more locked in on special teams. You want things like this to happen early in the season, so I'm kind of happy that this one happened, because now we're going to do a lot more self-scout, and we're going to have even for the punt situation that happened. Now I'm sure that they're going to have some kind of fire rules or something, because it just looked like everybody didn't know what to do, and I don't like to see professional football players not know what to do when chaos happens. You got to prepare for the worst for sure. So I agree with you guys. Second half for sure.
Sam, what's the conversation that you have? Like you see that happen, right? So going into that half. What's the conversation after that play that happens? What are you saying on the sideline, bro?
Why are you asking me? You know what I'm saying.
I want to hear it.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to the leaders first. Like, we don't got no fire play? Did we not go over no fire play or nothing? Like, why does the kicker not know what to do right now? When, he thinks he's going to get blocked. He did a great job avoiding the pressure, and he had a chance to short kick it. Or where is the tight end that when you hear fire is going out for a pass so he can just throw the ball? That's what I'm doing just because high level, I need to we got to hold everybody accountable, you know what I'm saying?
Accountable.
So that's what I'm saying, Buckner, to add to your question. Like, where the hell is the fire play? Why are grown men on here not knowing what to do when a negative situation happens? Why does everybody look like, oh my gosh, and start panicking? Like, Matt, coaches got to buy diapers for their kids. Wives need to go on vacation. Like, this is different kind of game we're playing now, Like, when you mess up on plays, like, it affects homes. So, like, I'm extremely upset.
Yeah.
Great breakdown on that. What part of Sim, we'll stay with you on this one. What part of Hamilton's game did you like in week 1?
I liked our rookie play. I'm gonna single guys out because I feel like on the same page as Matt, anytime a running back has over 5 yards of carry and rushes over 90 yards and they rush for over 30 yards, your toughness is for sure going to get questioned as a whole on the defense because, that's smash mouth football. That's setting the tempo, and Calgary was able to do that. But to answer your question, I like single players. I loved Isaiah Bagney. Like, he played a great game as a rookie. Like, when I'm watching the tape, I'm like, man, who's standing out? Of course, you got Goose with his interception and Moxie with his interception. But as far as just standing out and look like, hey, guys, follow me. Come on. I felt that in him when he was making plays. So I really liked Isaiah's game. I thought Wooden looked extremely good. I would like to see him field the ball a little better and more confident, but he looked good. Every time he touched the ball, it looked like he was going to score a touchdown. I also like the fact that Bo Levi didn't turn the ball over. I mean, turnovers on down, but I'm talking about fumbles and interceptions. I love that because I feel like everything else will come together. I love that Tim White, he still looks fast and explosive. In my opinion, he was the one trying to keep them in the game when things looked a little heavy. He was the only person making impact plays when the offense wasn't necessarily rolling the way they wanted to. And, I also like the fact that we're going to send pressure, but it's also a gift and a curse with that too. Anytime we send them as much pressure as we did last game, like the thing with pressure, Rick and Matt, you guys know, like when you send pressure or a blitz or something, it's 50-50. So it's like if you send blitz like 50% of the game, in your head, 50% of the time something negative is going to happen. And most likely it's going to be a big play. So I like the fact we send pressure, but I think that like by game 5, we're going to have to be able to play some base defense. So yeah, those are mine.
Matt, what did you like about the Ticats game?
I'll start offensively. Love the play from Kenny Lawler. He came out and he was flying around, made some big big catches. Especially down the stretch there. Love the play too. I'm gonna kind of highlight the DBs too now on the defensive side. Love the play from the DBs. We were asked for turnovers. They didn't really get a lot last year. I think it was 14 interceptions on the year last year. They already set off the year with 2, and 1 got called back. And Stabs had 2, right? And so, Stabs had 1. Moxie had another one, but the other interception from Stabs got called back. But I thought great play from those guys, making their plays when they came. Some people might look at Stabs and say, oh, that's a gimme. But Sim, how many times have we seen guys drop those gimmies?
Yeah,
right. You got to catch them, right?
But that was a gimme. But like that, we got to call it like it is. That's professional football. You get those kind of gifts. All you got to do is whoever was near the quarterback, you run and go, thank you so much for disrupting this. Like, if I was Goose, I'm running up to Kyle. Kyle, thank you so much for disrupting the quarterback because he just threw me the ball right to me. You know how hard it is to get gifts, bro?
The interceptions. They don't come like that.
So when you get
Christmas comes once a year.
Come on, man. Hey, I like those, Matt. Are you done with yours? Because I got a question for you because you talk about DBs. I got a question for you since you played.
Okay, DBs. I got one more I want to add. Okay. Is the play from Leggio. Leggio went 3 for 3. Yeah. He went 3 for 3 on his kicks, 100%. And he's been a guy that's been consistent from last year. And then he's rolling that consistency on to start the season. I think that's a really good sign for the special teams units too.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, Matt, I'm mad at the DBs, bro.
That's fine.
You can't get a gift and then not do nothing with the gift.
You
see what I'm saying? Like if I get a gift, that thing is going to the house. You feel
We
me?
gotta turn. We gotta turn it up.
If somebody tips a ball and I catch it, I'm out of there.
So hold
Where
on.
was the yak after the interception, yo?
So we need a little bit more too, though. We need a little bit of blocking too from the.
Hey, now,
Let's
okay, let's
clear
talk
a lane.
let's
Clear a lane for
break
the
it down
boys.
this.
You know.
First moxie interception. This guy caught the ball.
Yeah.
He did a spin move. Then he did a step back, and then started running. What's up, defense?
It was a little. You know what? It was a little backyard football right there. You know, he's caught it. He's getting a little. He wanted to show off his running back skills.
Where? Running backs run. We need to run. Go get that.
Turn up field.
Go
Knock
get
it.
that, yo. Come on,
I'm with you, though.
You go to Vegas, you want the best odds, right? So
Right.
if I pick the ball off, the best odds is getting the ball closer to the end zone, right? That's what I would think. So I'm mad at the DBs, bro. They got gifts.
You know, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. We need more.
Business, Matt. High performance
We need more.
business.
We need more. I'm with you.
Yeah. 3 points off turnovers isn't, much to smile about. But I want to give a shout out to Coulter Woodmansey. You know, he steps in for David Beard, perennial all-star in the Canadian Football League. Calgary got some pressures. They didn't get any sacks, so that's a good thing. One thing that the O-line needs to improve is the run blocking, obviously, because Greg Bell was not effective on Saturday night. Let's hope that's a much different story this coming Saturday as the Ticats host Saskatchewan. Matt, we'll stay with you. What didn't the Ticats do or do well enough last week against Calgary that they must do well to beat Saskatchewan? AKA, what's the biggest room for improvement going forward here in week number 2?
Defensively, I'm going to say second and long. They have to make stops on second and long. There was way too many opportunities that Calgary had. It was 2nd and 5. There was an offside. There was 2nd and 15. We had Vernon taken off for a 15-yard, 20-yard run. There was 2nd and 12. They're getting passes down the middle. They kind of just picked us apart a lot on those 2nd and longs. So I think Hamilton needs to be better on those 2nd and longs going into this game because they're playing, in my opinion, a better offense with Saskatchewan. There's a lot more weapons that they have. Trevor Harris, of course, another respected quarterback, and if you can get Trevor Harris to 2nd and long and stop him, you can almost control those games. But if you're getting Trevor Harris, because he's a rhythm quarterback, in my opinion, and so if he's staying in that rhythm, it's going to be a pretty tough going for Hamilton. So I think what they need to do better at 2nd and long offensively is, I think we talked about this too in the post game, is capitalizing on the other team's mistakes offensively. So there's a turnover. We got to turn those turnovers to points because that punishes the opposition. And so I think those are a couple of things offensively. And then on the special team side, they gotta just do their job. I think don't do anything fancy, nothing out of the ordinary. If everybody just does what they're supposed to do, you'll see plays like Wooden had those. When Wooden took that touchdown to the house, that was every man doing his job because he was basically untouched and went out and scampered for a big return. So I want to see that, just guys doing their job on special teams too.
Sim, what do you think is the biggest room for improvement going into week 2?
The Hamilton Tiger Cats, to improve to week 2, have to be more tougher. Simple as that. Got to be more tougher. That's the name of the game. And I thought that we were going to kind of push Calgary around. So if we weren't pushing Calgary around the way that I thought we should be pushing Calgary around, Saskatchewan watched that game and said, look, we're going to play some bully ball, Like, we're going to, just see what they really want to do. Let's see who's going to quit over there or something. Because we have to be more tougher. Anytime you get the ball ran on you in regular season and you put that on tape, the number one thing you're going to have to stop every game before the game even gets started is the run. What did the Saskatchewan just do? They just got Kadeem Carey, who's probably starving right now, to come and play some running back. And even the backup kid, number 30, he's a hard runner and hard-nosed runner. So we have to be tough. And then I know we didn't give up any sacks, Rick, but that doesn't tell the story. Because when I tell you Flojo, their defensive end, and Hicks, they were dominating the line of scrimmage. Like, they were playing behind the line of scrimmage. They were making plays. We had wide receivers not cutting out on the run block because we had defensive ends getting the bell right away. We're supposed to cut that out with a receiver. So we have to do all of the physical stuff extremely well, because you can't do anything in football without doing the basics, the absolute basics. And the basics is you have to block tough, you have to tackle tough, you have to do all of the football things at extreme high level to even get into all the X's and O's and all of that stuff. I feel like we just weren't tough enough. Even on special teams, I feel like the toughest special team play I seen was Turnowski had a good tackle, Wooden had a long return, and Lawler at the end of the game running to go and try to get that ball. I thought that was an extremely tough play. But other than that, when we're sitting there watching the ball hit the ground, that's not tough football. That's like passive. So we have to be way more tougher if we want to even be in this game against Saskatchewan.
It's a great point. Ticats and Saskatchewan this Saturday night. It is Father's Day weekend in the Hammer. It's going to be a great night out at the stadium as well. Tiger Cats pregame with Bubba and Matt begins at 6 p.m. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock on the Ticats Audio Network with Simoni Lawrence and myself. And it's a big night Saturday as well because Garnie Henley's number 26 is going to be retired. He will join Angelo Mosca and the OG of retired numbers, Bernie Filoni, in Hamilton. As players, Sim, we'll start with you on this one. As players, did you dream about having your number retired, or did you use it as someone else getting their number retired as inspiration, thinking, one day it would be cool to have that happen to me?
First off, I want to say congratulations to Garney Henley, absolute Tiger Cat legend. I cannot wait to watch his show this weekend on Saturday against Saskatchewan. I think that a lot of fans are going to be excited to come and see him get his number retired. So congratulations to him, because as a football player, nobody plays this aggressive game of football just to not have the best things. Everybody wants to win a championship. Everybody wants to get all-stars. Everybody wants to get defensive player of the year. Everybody wants to get their jersey retired. That's just, we're playing the kind of game where everybody knows what's going on. It's just who can stop it. That's why I love football so much. So, yes, the answer is yes. Everybody that plays football wants something great like that to happen. Like Garnie Henley's, he can tell his grandkids or whatever his family background is, nobody can wear that number because of the way I carried myself as a player there. That's the pinnacle of respect of an organization to a player, saying, hey, you know what? You were the absolute best at what you did, not only for us on the field, off the field, and everything else you did for us, that nobody else is going to wear your jersey. So in my opinion, yes, that everybody wants that to happen as a football player.
Matt, how do you view that situation? A player gets their number retired. When you were in your playing days, did you think, wow, that's amazing, I'd love for that to happen to me?
Yeah, first, when I first started with Hamilton, that was the number that I wore. I wore 26. And in my rookie season, there were a lot of fans that would come to me and they would talk, we would do the fan signings, events like that. And they would talk to me about Garney Henley. And I'll be honest, my rookie season, I didn't know who he was. What? I didn't know. What? I didn't know about him. But you know what? Hold on, Sim. But now I started to, but after, hearing about him from all these, I'm like, okay, let me do a little bit of homework. And then hearing about, how impactful this man was. And I think one of the things too, Sim, I love that you talked about is when we're competing and you get to pro level, everybody's great. They were great in high school. They were great in university or college. And then they're striving to be even greater in the professional ranks. And when you start, yeah, of course, you want to be the all-star. You want to become, you want to have your name remembered, or you see the jerseys hung up in the rafters and the numbers are on the wall. That's something that you will strive for. Now, one of the things that I learned as my years went on is not only do you want to be remembered as a player, but you want to be also remembered as a great teammate. And I think that's it's a really big thing. A lot of other mentors that I played with and learned from is, it's you want to do great things on the field, because these guys that are getting remembered, or Garney Henley, it's not just the stuff that he did on the field, but it was the kind of person he was. it was like the entire being of Garney. That's why his number is being retired. And so I think, when you start to learn that, the game is bigger than just you. It's about your impact on other people, your impact on your teammates, your impact on the community, your impact on the organization. And I think it's it's an absolute honor. And then even if you don't have your number retired, you can still make impact. You know what I mean? And I think as we talk about retiring, I think another player could potentially be in that category, and he's on this podcast right now. And so I think that's really big.
Can I say something though? And
yeah.
And I know it's the most cliche thing ever. Like you get a defensive player of the year, and then like you want to thank all your teammates and stuff. But it's the absolute truth, especially with even getting your jersey retired, right? Like when you play a sport, like an aggressive sport like this, and everybody wants to be the best player on the best team. Like everybody reaches for that goal. But the hardest thing to do is understanding now, like, this is my role on the team, and I have to make plays in this role to help support that player to make sure our best player is pushing forward and doing a great job. So Garney Henley, he accomplished that thing, getting his jersey retired, but every single one of his teammates that played football with him is a huge part of that, right? So that's another. It's like all of the teammates are winning a trophy. Like, you know what? I'm a part of that because I played with Garnie Henley and his jersey's retired. Because you never know what people do for other people. You know what I mean? Like, I got since I've been playing here, I've had teammates that go to the walls and back for me. You know what I mean? And like without them, I couldn't play at the highest level I wanted to play at, and I'm sure Garnie Henley has a bunch of teammates like that. So they're back home like they just won another Grey Cup for sure.
And that's why they say football is the greatest team game, because it's exactly that. There's no sport like football where for a player to have success, he needs the rest of his teammates to sacrifice. They have to sacrifice for him to have success. And I think that's why we love this game. And in order to play it at a high level, to play it for a long time, you have to understand that concept too, where it's not just about you, it's about the rest of the guys that you're playing for.
And don't get it messed up, Mr. Garney Henley. You're a stud. You deserve it, because you can be all this stuff, but you have to be an absolute monster. You got to be a beast. You got to set unrealistic goals, Rick. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know I want to go ask him what his goals was, because once you become such a good player, it's hard to stay motivated. So you got to set unrealistic goals. Like, my goal after my second year was I'm not going to miss any more practices. That's how I was like, all right, you know what? If I don't miss any practice, everything else is going to take care of itself, So I'm interested to see what his goals were every year to keep him motivated to be one of the best players ever.
It'd be a great conversation. Here's some digits on Garnie Henley. He played from 1960 to 1975. He was the CFL's most outstanding player in 1972. He played in 7 Grey Cups. He won 4 of them, and he's all over the Tiger Cats record book. He's 3rd all-time in touchdowns. He had 56 touchdowns in his career. He is behind only Earl Winfield at number 1 with 87, Brandon Banks number 2 at 62. Garnie Henley scored 4 touchdowns in a game on October 15th, 1962 against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That was a win. And he played both sides of the ball. He was a great defensive back. In fact, he has the most interceptions all time in a Tiger Cats uniform. He has 59. Rob Hitchcock in second place, a distant second at 36. So Garnie Henley, one of the GOATs for the Tiger Cats and the Canadian Football League. So a great career and a long overdue big pat on the back with his number 26 being retired on Saturday night.
That's crazy. Matt couldn't even relive Garnie Henley number over there. They forgot all about Matt Bucknor. That's crazy, bro. I'm gonna tell y'all. Can I tell y'all a funny story? So let me tell y'all a funny story. So in high school, right? I got to high school, and all I wanted was number 21, right? And this kid, I'll never forget his name. His name was Ricky Dock. He had number 21. He was the star running back, right? So I didn't get to the school right when he was about to graduate. And then they gave me this number that's like, if you wear 21, they're going to have big shoes to fill. And you know what I said? I said, y'all never going to remember Ricky Dock again, coach. So you got to be, you know what I mean? because it's like
you got to think like that.
Because it's like there's a lot of different crowds that come and watch football. So it's like, who was this during this time.
The eras.
And like that's the thing that's talked about a lot amongst the football player. So long story longer is we don't know who Ricky Doc is anymore, Ricky, man. You gotta come in and set the standard, baby. Shout out to Garnie.
Oh man, the man went both ways. He's a baller. Both ways? Come on, that's
bro.
awesome.
Hey, I don't want to say this, but I gotta say this to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Like times was way different too, though, Matt. Like times were way different. Like we're used to going both ways. Like growing up, we all went both ways from high school all the way up to high school to even like my military academy. Go both ways, but man. Trying to go both ways nowadays. Whew.
Professionally?
People can't even play defense and all the special teams.
The guys, offense and defense? No way.
Offense
and specials?
And specials?
Yeah. And specials?
I gotta go talk to him. I need to know what kind of protein he was taking.
Yeah, and yes, he did play special teams as well. He had nearly 3,000 punt return yards for his career.
Yeah. Oh man,
and almost 1,000 kickoff returns.
The guy's a beast.
He was just better than everybody.
Built different. Built different.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to the Canadian Football Hall of Famer. What a career. All right, let's switch gears and talk about this upcoming game against the Roughriders. Yeah. The Ticats were swept last year by Saskatchewan. They lost 33-30 on a walk-off field goal in Week 2 in Hamilton. And that was a game in which the Ticats led 20-7 at halftime, and they ended up losing in Saskatchewan, I think it was a couple of weeks later. Simoni, how does Hamilton match up against the Riders this week?
It depends what Ticat team we see, right? If we see that high-paced, fast, confident offense, taking shots, running the ball more than 5 times in the first half, trying to oppose their will, lining up in some pistol, and let's play some physical football in front of these home fans that go absolutely nuts, and then our defense blitzing, causing some turnovers, getting Harris frustrated, and not let him just dip and dive and do his thing, you know? It just depends what type of team we see. Because on paper, can we beat Saskatchewan? Heck yes. But we can't just walk in there and think that, we're going to win this game because we're playing at home and our fans are going to motivate it. We're going to have to put in a lot of work to win this game, you know? I feel like the key things are just you have to establish the running game, first of all, because against a team like Saskatchewan, I know you don't want to get into second and long because they're going to send the house, and they got a lot of great players that can send the house, and they ride a lot of upfront games that come home a lot. I just think that Hamilton have to find somebody to go and just play for it. Just like, forget everybody, because what Saskatchewan does, Saskatchewan has players that I call them get-back players. And the first thing you want to do when you're playing a get-back player is somebody that used to play for this team and now plays for another team, right? So those players, you want to neutralize them fast, meaning you want to run the ball right at Malik Carney. You want to run the ball you want to get Thurman in some open field, maybe make him miss, right? You want to neutralize their energy because they're going to permeate through the team because they have real raw emotion connected to this game, you know? They want to prove like, hey, I'm the best player. Why am I not him? You know what I'm saying? So you want to neutralize those players. And if you can if Thurman doesn't have a big game, if Malik Carney doesn't have a big game, we're going to be in good shape. And another thing is, we have to on defense find a way where we can win in base defense. There's no way that we're going to be able to just blitz Trevor Harris. I'll tell you one thing about Trevor Harris. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks up here. He knows what's going on. He knows exactly what's going on. He doesn't need somebody in his ear telling him what's going on. He sees the field. He knows where to go with the football. The way you beat Trevor Harris is you get your hands up. Get your hands up. We're going to have to get our hands up. Ball's coming out quick. As soon as you get engaged, get your hands up. Get your hands up. You want to bat the ball down because he throws the ball out so quick, the sacks against Trevor Harris are going to be bat downs, or like when they want to take their shot and they bring everybody in and you got to add in on the blitz. That's how you get sacks on Trevor Harris. So this game's one of those games where what group of Tiger Cats is going to come? Are we going to get the tough Hamilton Tiger Cats? If we don't get the Hamilton Tiger Cats, we'll be in good shape. But if we get the Oakville Tiger Cats, we're not in good shape. No disrespect to Oakville, but y'all get it.
Hey, Matt, how does Hamilton match up in your opinion, Matt, against the Roughriders? What can Hamilton exploit against Saskatchewan?
I can't get over that, Oakville. But football comes down to individual matchups, right? It's winning your one-on-ones, and so there's some matchups that I'm kind of keying in on for this game, and it's going to be O-line versus D-line. That's Hamilton's O-line versus Sask's D-line. Sask's D-line is you mentioned Malik Carney, but they also got Micah Johnson over there, who's a beast, and it's like can they handle these guys on the front? Then I'm also looking at Sask's DBs versus Hamilton's wide receiving core. So this is like Sask's defensive group altogether was one of the top units in the league last year, and they brought a lot of those guys back. And so they have Roland Milligan, who's a shutdown DB. They just brought in Tavon Campbell, another good DB. So they have some really good pieces that are in that secondary. I want to see how they match up against Hamilton's receiving core. And Sim, I love that you mentioned that. It's like on paper, everything looks good. On paper, it's like our receiving core. We got the running back. We have all these pieces. We got the reigning Eastern MOP. We have all of these great pieces on paper. And Bo even said it in the post game where everybody's expecting these guys to go out and just light up the scoreboard. And that's the expectation. But at the end of the day, you still have to execute. So everything can look great on paper, but at the end of the day, you got to execute. And that's one of the things that I'm looking to see from this offensive unit, which again, I'm confident with this group because they do have some really good pieces and they have it's a veteran group. Actually, you look at it now, it's a veteran core. So I want to see what they do going into this next game.
You're right. They have to execute. And the thing about they have to execute at a high level. They can't just execute. They have to aggressively execute. Like when it's the wide receiver's turn to come and cut out the defensive end, they have to aggressively do that. When you go up to catch the ball, you have to aggressively focus and catch the ball. When you go and make a tackle, aggressively focus. You know what I mean? You can't just do your job and just go through the motions, especially in a game like this, because you're going against a team that wants to embarrass you. It's not a team that wants to beat you. You're going against a team that wants to embarrass you. And that's what you have to understand going into a lot of these games. A lot of teams don't want to just beat Hamilton. They want to embarrass Hamilton. So I'll stick to my point. They have to neutralize the guys that are going to get the party started. And saying we think we know all your flaws. Let's go right at you. That's how you got to do it.
Yeah, great points. Our final topic of Ticats this week, we're going to talk a little bit about the Roughriders. We've mentioned a few names, but Matt, we'll ask you first. Which Roughriders player do you view as the most dangerous? It could be someone on offense, defense, or even special teams.
One player, I'm gonna go with probably their defensive player of the game last week. I'm gonna say it's Jameer Thurman. Last week he was flying. He was all over the place. He had 10 tackles. He was disruptive. He was aggressive. He was a guy that definitely stuck out defensively. I think he's going to be. And Sim, I love that you said that. It's like you got to go at him. There's going to be a guy that you're going to have to go at, and I think that's just the best way to put it. And see how I think he's probably their most dangerous guy. So if you're going to go at Jameer, see how he can respond. But I think he's probably their most dangerous defensive player.
All right, Sim, who do you got on your list as most dangerous Rough Rider player?
I've never met a dangerous Rough Rider player in my life. First of all, I've never met nobody dangerous over there. Nobody made me feel no kind of way ever in my life. To be completely honest, I don't know no dangerous people over there in Saskatchewan. But I think what you're referring to is this football game this week. Who would probably be like the player they have to stop, kind of. I would have to say Trevor Harris, just because this is a Trevor Harris dream type of game. Trevor Harris watched the tape last week, he like, okay, this backer did this. So he's studying like a maniac, you know what I mean? Just to see where his vision's gonna be. So he's an over preparer. When you deal with people like that, it's like, once their plan goes off mode, if we can get to Trevor Harris and not let him score and methodically drive the ball down the field and get easy points, and when he takes a shot, pick it off, if we can get him out of the game, the team will crumble, because he's one of those players that also wears his emotions all over him. So when he's not doing good, he's dropping the level of his team, because now his team's like, come on, because his body's not giving the same type of energy. And, it always starts with the quarterback up here, man. Like, if the quarterback goes out there and throws 5 touchdowns, we probably won't win. If he goes out there and throws 5 interceptions, we'll probably win. So Trevor Harris for sure.
I'll go with Samuel Emilus. He had a great game last week, 8 catches, 133 yards. He scored a touchdown. He had 50 yak yards. He was amongst the biggest yak yard guys last season in the CFL, topped 1,000 yards for the second consecutive season. If Harris and Emilus are on the same page, that could be big-time points for Saskatchewan, but let's hope the Tiger Cats defense rises to the occasion. We're going to wrap it up there. Ticats, Roughriders, this coming Saturday, June the 14th. It's going to be a rock'em sock'em affair. Garnie Henley's number 26 is going to get retired. Tiger Cats pregame with Bubba and Matt will kick off at 6 p.m. Kickoff to the game with myself and Simoni Lawrence is at 7. And a new episode of Ticats This Week will drop next week. We'll catch you then.
This has been the Ticats This Week on the Ticats Audio Network. Like, follow, and get a deeper understanding of your Hamilton Tiger Cats.